What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull Up Show. My name is BJ Matthews, aka B Jizzle. Before we get started, follow us on the YouTube page, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. Like, share, subscribe all of our YouTube videos by hitting that notification bell right by the subscribe button. Get all the updated content when we drop new videos and new content. You know what I'm saying? Continue to support the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. Go to our Cash App, which is $ BJ Matthews, or PayPal at Project Masters for this great content, as well as our super stickers and super comments as well. If you guys want to drop your love that way, we definitely appreciate it. Let's get it popping. All right, man. So we back with another show, man. We back with another show after this morning, man. We talked about Jimmy Butler. If you guys did not see that video, go and check that video out with Jimmy Butler. I pinned the comment. I'll put that in the pin comment as well. Um, how we should evaluate Jimmy Butler. But I want to continuously on, talk about the Miami Heat, man. Like I said, tonight I'm be doing a live for the Denver Nuggets, kind of celebrating them, give them some airtime. But I want to talk more about Erik Spoelstra, man, and the Miami Heat. Now, as y'all know, the Miami Heat lost in 5 games last night, 89-94. So they will not be the NBA champions this season. A great historic run, coming down as the eighth seed, beating teams like Milwaukee, the Knicks, and the Celtics, who are all top 5 seeds in the Eastern Conference. So that's why I don't buy the whole, Miami didn't play anybody, or they beat everybody because they were injured. No, Giannis played those last 2 games against Milwaukee. They ended up losing those games, which, like I said in the last video, the only game that Milwaukee won and Giannis didn't play. So that goes out the window. They beat the Knicks, who ended up being the Cavaliers, who was a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. They gentlemen swept them. That's a tough team. Miami beat them in 6 games. Then you go to the Boston Celtics in the conference finals. They beat them in 7 games. And the Celtics were a team that are a favorite to come out the East and possibly win a championship, right? So Miami did have competition they faced, and they were able to prevail, get into the conference finals, and prove a lot of doubters wrong as the AFC. So they did have a great season and playoffs, but it did not show in the finals. And we gotta talk about, we gotta put the blame somewhere, man. We gotta put the blame somewhere. I've already given Jimmy Butler his side of the blanks. I feel like he didn't he didn't bring his team up high enough when they needed him the most. Now, the reason why I believe personally was because of just the defense that Denver threw at him. I think it was just a different look that he wasn't used to. And the field goal, averages, game by game supported that. He only shot over 50% one time, and that was in game 4. And that's when Jokic and Murray were, struggling like no other. And yeah, that's the only game. So I didn't feel like he came along high enough. But the other person who really, to me, is at fault is this man right here, and that's Erik Spoelstra. Now, look, Erik Spoelstra, like we evaluate Jimmy Butler, I think Erik Spoelstra is still a top 3 coach in the NBA. I think it's him. I think it's I mean, you don't want to put Greg Popovich there because he's a little bit older now, and plus the Spurs, they suck. But I mean, all time, Pop is definitely top 3. With arguably Phil Jackson and Red Auerbach. Um, but you got guys like, right now, Mike Brown, you got Steve Kerr, you got what I'm saying, of course, Spoelstra, like I just said. Mike Malone has to be there because they just won the championship. Um, Ty Lue, I think, could be there, but he dropped so much this year because of how he coached that team. But because of how the team is constructed and how they didn't have their star players, and he still was able to get to them to the playoffs last year, just shows how much he can do with less. Um, so you know what I'm saying? Like, you have a lot of good coaches in the league, but I think Spoelstra is definitely top 3. Um, the makeup of the Miami Heat, the amount of players they don't, really have stars. Like I said before, they're like the Clippers in a lot of ways. Um, they just continuously have this fighting spirit, man. And Spoelstra, to me, like I say all the time, your team is made up by how your coach is and your best player is, right? And as tough nose as Spoelstra is, and as tough nose Miami Heat is, there's something that Spoelstra has I saw can be his downfall, and that's his pride and how stubborn he is. Now, if you look at Spoelstra, what I'm saying, coaching history, man. You look up his, histories, 704 wins and 491 losses. He's been coaching since 2009, so that's 14 seasons. Not bad. Um, he came in as, I think, a video coordinator, right? Came in as a video coordinator in the NBA. So he wasn't somebody that, and a lot of great coaching minds, come from that. You know what I'm saying? They come in as video, coordinators or people who are in the back scenes evaluating the game, because that's the best way you can see the game is if you're actually on the sidelines watching or you're looking at tape. It teaches you how to do strategies, team schemes. They see personalities, who meshes, who doesn't mesh. That's what a great coach usually comes from, is, a video coordinator or a film guy, or um, you know, they don't really come from just, being. They all start from somewhere. Put it like that. They all start from somewhere. They usually get with, what I'm saying, the mental makeup of the game. Knowing what ticks, what personalities mesh. Um, so Erik Spoelstra definitely has a great coaching record. He has um the fifth most wins of all time in the playoffs. Behind Phil Jackson, Pat Riley, Greg Popovich, and Doc Rivers. Now, Um, Doc Rivers, I think, he's an overrated coach. I think that he's had the luxury of being with a lot of great teams, but he's shown that he hasn't been able to build up any real teams to be great. Um, the Orlando Magic is probably, as far as I can go, is probably the less team with the less talent, but you had Trace McGrady on that team as well. But he had teams like the Celtics, who had, that three-headed monster with Garnett, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce. You had, this Lob City Clippers, who, had all the talent in the world, but for whatever reason they couldn't put it together. Then you look at the Clippers with Kawhi and PG, 2-1-3 era. You gave up a 2020 championship against the Denver Nuggets, giving up a 3-1 lead. You were partially responsible for that. And then you look at the Philadelphia 76ers, you get fired from there because you can't seem to get them past the second round. You'll probably get another job in the future, but I've always said Doc Rivers is overrated, but he's on the list. But Erik Spoelstra, again, um, he has had a successful career in 14 years, man. He's going to continuously keep going. He's relatively young for a coach. What is he, 40, 44? 80, 90, 2000, 2010. Or is he 54? I'm tripping. He must be 50 because he said he was born in 1970. Yeah, he's 54, not 44. Okay, so he's still, relatively young as a coach. Or middle age, right? So again, Spolestra, man, he's had a great career, man, as a coach, and he's going to continuously run that Miami Heat organization. They've won 3 championships, 2 under him as the coach, and it, it's a lot. It's a lot of championship DNA in that Miami Heat organization, and you know, it also goes to say that he was able to hold that ship up when LeBron left and D Wade left, man. So I love what he's doing, but the bottom line is that Erik Spoelstra, in this series against the Denver Nuggets, he cost them, and I would blame him over 50%. Reason being is, listen, there's people who I talk to with the Miami Heat. Shout out to my uncle Big Tone, he's a Miami Heat fan, and other Miami Heat people that I know I talk to, man. And me watching the Heat myself, there's a lot of things that I see with Spoelstra that he does that is not so much he doesn't know. It's just that he will not stop doing the same thing over and over because of his stubbornness. One thing he does that I really do not really in favor of is how he overplays Bam Adebayo with so many different things, man. This guy is a 4 playing as a 5, having to do so many things as far as rebound, defend, and score the ball. Like, I used to get on Bam Adebayo for not having such a great scoring package, but then I saw and looked a little bit closer, and I saw Bam Adebayo, for what he's asked to do. It's almost like you're using him to the point where he's going to be exhausted. That's why I'm like, damn, Bam is exhausted damn near almost all the time. And when you watch him play, he's having to run, you know what I'm saying, guard the best player on the other team as far as the center. He has to, you know what I'm saying, rebound. He has to defend the paint because they don't really have rim protection like that. He's playing around a bunch of undersized guards who are scrappy, but they don't have really much length. Guys like, what I'm saying, Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, Max Strus, what I'm saying, a bunch of undersized guards and forwards. Like, what I'm saying, like it's very tough. Tyler Hero, they don't really have much length. Miami needs a center, man. They need somebody who can play center so Bam can go to that 4 spot because he's tough as nails. But at the end of the day, like, you only have so much injury, especially when you're going up against Jokic. Bam Adebayo to me was the best player of this series, but because of the amount of pressure Spo puts on him, the amount of stuff Spo puts on him, it's too much for any person to be able to uphold. So that's on Spo to even put Bam Adebayo in better positions to conserve his energy. That's a coaching issue. Another coaching issue. I don't know why the life of me he continuously this series started Max Strus. Like I told y'all before, the Heat and the Clippers are very similar. I said Jimmy Butler and Kawhi Leonard are similar, even though we've seen this series, there's certain holes in Jimmy Butler's game where Kawhi, doesn't have. I feel like they're very similar as far as how they are able to raise their games in the playoffs, as well as their two-way play as well, and their mental makeup. One is a little bit more boisterous in Jimmy Butler than Kawhi, but they do have similarities in my opinion. I said that. I also said that Spolestra and Ty Lue are very similar as well because of how stubborn they are. They will not get off their game plan no matter how bad it's not working. They'll continuously go with the same game plan over and over until it's too late. You understand what I'm saying? So I look at a guy like Max Strus, who you seen was just clanking all throughout this series, man. All throughout the series, he's just clanking shots. Wasn't hitting anything. Very similar to what Marcus Morris would do with us this season. Marcus Morris, because of how he was just completely putrid this whole season. Max Strus stayed in the game, continuously shot threes and kept clanking. Gave a hell of a defensive effort, especially last night. But when you're not hitting shots and they're passing the ball, it just pretty much takes you out your rhythm as a team. It demoralizes you. But this guy did not take him out the game, not one time. He did not start Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson should have been starting since game 2. Or after game 3, I believe he should have been starting. Spolstra still did not give him the nod. I don't know why. I think it's because of the connection he has with Max Strus. He just likes him generally. But Duncan Robinson showed he was a better fit with that Miami Heat offense, and that's what they needed in this series was offense, not defense. They couldn't score. Um, they couldn't put a basketball in the ocean, in the Pacific Ocean. You understand what I'm saying? So when you look real deep into it, man, Spolstra did that. That was another thing that they did was really kind of like detrimental to their team, not starting Duncan Robinson over Max Strus, right? Um, you look at also this whole demeanor I'm looking at with Spolstra too. There's 3 people that have a lot of the same things, and that's Pat Riley, Spolstra, and Jimmy Butler. All 3 of them have something in common. They're very stubborn, very stubborn. No matter what, they're going to continuously do what they do. And I think, and usually that's something that makes you clash with one another. But for whatever reason, they seem to have a bond off of just that. Pat Riley does not, give up, as far as who he is, as far as president of the Miami Heat. He's going to stay what he is. He's going to stick to his guns. He's not going to ever kowtow. Um, that's what Pat Riley is. He's assisted the same dude that told LeBron James he couldn't come in and bring his people in to take over the organization, which makes sense. You can't let nobody run over your organization. I'm just pointing out the fact that Pat Riley is a guy that's gonna have the last word. Erik Spoelstra, another one. He's been groomed by Pat Riley to have the last word. Does not, what I'm saying, switch up what he's gonna do. Going to continue to stick to his guns, right? And then here comes Jimmy Butler the same way. Not going to sit up there instead of continuously passing the ball off, knowing we're watching the game with our visual eyes as actual fans of the game. We're seeing that Jimmy Butler, that they need you to actually score the ball, not pass it. And he doesn't, care what nobody else is going to think. He said he will not start shooting shots to take away shots from his teammates. Well, I got news for you. Had he started doing that, Miami Heat probably would have won at least 2 of those 3 games, and they probably would still be playing. But I'm not gonna, dwell on that. I'm just gonna say this about Spolstra, man. Spolstra, there was 2 or 3 different things that he did that was just glaring that cost the Miami Heat this series. And like I said, I still consider him the top 3 coach in the NBA. But Spo is somebody that's gonna, if you want somebody to really kind of, how can I put it? You're gonna have to sometimes tell Spolstra, like, try to switch the game plan up. Because if you're don't, and there's only 2 people on that team that can do it, and that's Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. That's it. Because everyone else is gonna continuously, just fall in line. And now you got Udonis Haslem is retiring. I'm kind of seeing what Miami's gonna be after this season. I'm gonna be interested to see. Um, it's interesting to watch, man. But I gotta say, man, Spoelstra, man, there's a lot of things that I saw this series that really raised my eyes. So, um, we'll see what happens next year. But until next time, we'll say pull up a